In Luke chapter 5 verses 36 and 37 it says, Jesus also gave them the following illustration. No one would tear a piece of cloth from a new garment to mend an old one. If he did, he would ruin the new garment, and the patch would not fit the old garment. And no one would put new wine into old leather containers. The old containers would burst, leaking the wine and ruining the container. Someone said, everyone is in favor of progress. It's change we don't like. This phrase makes us understand that many people don't like change and new things. The Duke of Cambridge is reported to have said, any change at any time and for any reason is to be deplored. This was also the problem for many people in Jesus' time. Jesus brought something new, irreconcilable with certain local traditions, but many people rejected his teaching. Disapproval. John's disciples often fast and pray, but his disciples eat and drink. Jesus and his disciples ate with tax collectors and sinners, while John's disciples and the Pharisees abstained from such banquets. Luke doesn't identify who made the statement, the subject isn't stated, but we see that in this passage there is a tone of disapproval, a criticism of Jesus by some about his disciples not fasting, but eating and drinking. These people wondered why Jesus' disciples weren't so strict in their observance of fasting and prayer. Fasting was highly regarded in this period. With regard to fasting, we can say that there was a fixed fast prescribed by the Mosaic Law, the Day of Atonement, when every Israelite had to humble himself and offer sacrifices consumed by fire. Fasting, therefore, was a religious practice, with partial or total abstention from food for a certain period of time. Prayer and fasting were not a peripheral and marginal issue of religion, but were at the heart of Jewish devotion. The reaction. Jesus said to them, "Do the guests at a wedding fast while they celebrate with the bridegroom?" Jesus had to face the question of why his disciples didn't fast like John's disciples and the Pharisees, but rather ate and drank. Jesus was also accused of being a glutton and a drunkard, a friend of the publicans, because he attended their banquets. Jesus wasn't against fasting, he was against fasting done hypocritically and to be seen by others, when fasting is legalistic, motivated by self-righteousness. Also in this passage we see confirmation with a metaphor in the form of a question, namely, can you make the bridegroom's friends fast while the bridegroom is with them? The implicit answer is no. The disciples who participate with their master, Jesus, in Matthew's banquet, live the right attitude in the Messianic time, which is a time of joy. Although not all scholars agree, some see this image of the bridegroom as an expression of God's marriage to his people, and it is often used to allude to Messianic times. The friends of the bridegroom, literally as sons of the bridal chamber, is a Jewish way of saying and designates the bridegroom's attendants and therefore those with whom they identify most closely with him. Jesus' disciples were his friends and rejoiced with him. That's why fasting at this time was not appropriate. It would be equally unthinkable for those present at a wedding to fast during the celebrations. Joy, not fasting, is the appropriate attitude for the disciples, Jesus' friends. Jesus' presence is what makes the present a moment of celebration at the wedding. His presence brings joy to his disciples, similar to the joy they experience at a wedding. It's a day of wedding joy, not mourning or fasting. Jesus means that while he is present with them, it is a time of celebration, then the bridegroom will be taken away from them, on those days they will fast. There is a time and a place for fasting, but this is not the time of Jesus' presence and ministry. Jesus saw fasting as an expression of voluntary grief, rather than an obligatory religious duty. Fasting should not be a mechanical arrangement with fixed days, because fasting is determined by conditions or circumstances. There will come a time when things will be different, the bridegroom will be taken from them, then the disciples will fast. Lord, may we not make fasting and prayer just an empty ritual, but may there be a freshness of anointing in every moment when you call us to these spiritual disciplines. God bless you.